What up, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Friday evening to you all. It has been a good hot minute since I've been streaming. Welcome, everybody. All right, let's get going here. What it do? We got like a whole new streaming setup, so we've been working on it. We've been working on it all week. We still got to work on it a lot more. There's a lot more that's got to get going to it. Let me know if anything's not going good, and we're gonna take care of it. So on the agenda this evening, oh my goodness, it's been so long since we've been here. We have so much to talk about. We've got Donnie Boy, who has been losing in the courts with some gains, right? Like there's been some gains for Donald Trump. The MAGA people have got to be thrown a bone here or there to be able to pray to their orange Jesus and keep things moving forward. There's obviously so much that's been happening over the past couple weeks. Let's see. So what's the first thing that ended up happening? You know, one of the big things that ended up happening, if y'all had not been aware, is the some of these like lawsuits and some of the proceedings, like the settlements are coming in. So E. Jean Carroll, 83 some odd $1 million is coming. And that's with an additional like $5 million on top of that needs to be paid. And that's going to be for the assault of E. Jean Carroll, which a jury found him to be credible to have raped this woman. And that's one of those things that the MAGA people just don't understand. You know, when the Me Too movement happened and women started coming forward saying that, they were assaulted by men. And this is 20 years later. Basically what it boils down to for a lot of conservatives and a lot of MAGA is that, you can't charge someone after a statute has expired. And as wonderful as that sounds, you're not mentioning to the fact that he still would have raped this person. Also, like, why is there even statutes for different crimes like this? Like when we're dealing with, like killings and murders and rapists, like why is there crimes? Like that's just degrading to our society. The fact that, someone could commit a heinous act like rape. And we're just going to be like, if you can get away from the cops and elude everyone for about 15 years, you're free. No problem. No issue. I just don't understand why that's even a thing. So that's one of the big things. What is happening here? We've got all kinds of stuff beeping on this side. All right. That's why we end up getting a new PC. That one was just too old, everybody. That one was just too old. It's like a 2008 build. It still runs, which is the most amazing thing. It still runs, but it's just not running well. But it still runs, so basically, when my other PC back there, right there, when that PC died, I had to switch over to that PC, and now that I bought this PC, I'm able to now stream and do all the things I want to do. As you can see, we got a new overlay, and we've got some other title blocks here that are a little bit newer, so pretty excited about that. Pretty excited to be able to produce content, put it on there. By the way, for those of you that have been following me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, thank you so much. For those of y'all that have been following or been viewing the content on YouTube and TikTok, thank you so much for that. It's been fantastic. Going through and having, what was it? I think it was about 7,000 views on YouTube. So thank you guys so much for the 7,000 views on YouTube. And TikTok is a little bit slower moving, but still fantastic. We're sitting on over 500 likes right now on TikTok. So thank you so much across some of the videos. Some of the videos have 50 likes. Some of the videos have 150 likes. So thank you guys so much for liking those videos. And if you're coming in from those platforms here to Twitch to be able to drop a like, thank you so much for dropping a follow. Thank you so much for being here. So getting back to it, I just don't understand how after a set amount of time, we're going to be able to go through, like, just imagine any kind of crime. If someone had broken into your house, if someone had stolen your property, if someone had stolen your vehicle, if someone had assaulted your family member and they had gotten away due to a statute of limitations, you would be relatively upset if on the day after the statute of limitation had expired, they finally come out and say, yep, it was me, no problem, right? So with that being said, you would be very upset. And I mean, who wouldn't be, right? Like, it doesn't make sense. Justice isn't being done. You feel like you really need to be able to go forward and have that person face justice. And what the laws that New York had passed do is expand those and reopen those cases for a one-time shot to be able to go forward and to extend criminal proceedings for people, or civilly for people who have committed a crime. And, like, especially if a crime was committed to you, then you can apply for this. So, why shouldn't you be able to accuse someone of a crime who you have evidence? That's the important thing here, is evidence. You have evidence that is able to go forward and do a proceeding, a trial. Come forward with evidence, produce it for the trial and the jury. And by a jury of peers, they decide if it is a credible statement, if it is a credible event that took place. And if they do find you guilty, then they're going to be able to, issue causes and damages that go with that. So one of the things I don't understand is how people who are thinking that because the statute of limitations was over, that this somehow absolves Trump of any wrongdoing that he did. And even with that being said, because it absolves someone, that doesn't mean that they are a good person. That doesn't mean that they are a innocent person. That doesn't mean that they are not a criminal, that they're not a rapist, they're not a fraudster, that they're not any of the things that they've been accused of, that they have been found guilty of, right? So that's one of the things that I don't understand, is like the understanding that these women who apparently, as they say, had never spoken to anyone before about this incident, have come forward to then get money out of Trump. Well, that's what a civil lawsuit is, right? It's money. It's pain and suffering and money when the criminal system didn't work, or even if the criminal system did, then it's pain and suffering from that. To be able to go forward and have a monetary exchange. And, the MAGA people and people who say that, they are independents who follow Trump and Trump was a great guy or a great president, say that, there is no reason that this should even be happening, and mainly that it's all political. The big thing is that it's not all political. I mean, anything that happens in politics is political. So it's not all political. It's important to note that even though this is a politically motivated thing, is what they say. I mean, he's a politician, so everything he does, he shakes a hand, it's political. He eats food, it's political. He flies in a jet, it's political. But this isn't the only time this law was used. It wasn't like crafted for Trump and was only used for Trump. There's plenty of people that have been hit by this law that New York had passed in New York City. There's several gangsters that were hit that had kind of, stemmed out of time on the statute of limitations. Several people in New York, I believe it's Letitia James, right, had gone forward and had gone through and utilized this law that was passed to go forward after a lot of people, some drug dealers, some criminal cartel, or i.e. gangs that are operating in and out of New York City. And she went after some of these people, and she was able to use this law to do so. So it's not like it was engineered to take down Trump. Unlike the MAGA people would tell you, nothing is engineered to take down Trump. These laws have been in existence for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And even including this law it's not the first of its kind in the United States. It's happened all over. It's happened all over states. And And this is not the first time that this is, just come up. It might be the first time in New York. It might be the first time that a presidential candidate had been caught up in it. But this isn't the first time the law had been used. Like I said, other people had been hit by this law as well. It's important to remember that even if this law was not going after a president, and even if it is, the state legislature passed the law. Therefore, it is legal in that state to do this. And then they talk about trumped up charges, no pun intended, about how you get this to become a felony is you use one simple criminal charge and you tie it to fraud. And if fraud can be proven, that proved the other charge then becomes a felony. And with that being said, like, that just makes sense. Like, we don't want criminals in politics. We don't want criminals in the state legislature. We don't want criminals in the judiciary, So this makes total sense why this would be here. They're saying that it's because Trump and this, that, and the other. But if this was happening to anyone, it would be the exact same thing. If it was happening, they'll tell you that if it was happening to Nancy Pelosi, that this wouldn't be happening. But it's true. Like, I at least would be behind it. Like, take her down if this is the case. And you know what? There's some shitty shit that Nancy Pelosi has done. Insider trading, several other things that have happened. I think that these are things that need to be investigated. I think these are things that our congressmen and women should not do. The leaders of our country should not be involved. They should have to sell stocks, or the stocks have to be placed on hold. And there has to be some sort of entity that can't do anything with the stocks. They can't grow. They can't depreciate, any of that. And they can sell them for what they were currently at. Or, it's the marketplace. And sometimes you lose money. And if, while those stocks were frozen, the market share crash, well, I guess you're just out of money. And I think that that's part of the public service attitude. Then don't serve in the House, the Senate, or for the executive or judicial branches. Don't do a public office if you don't like the consequences. You shouldn't be training money in stocks and intel if you are in the public sector. Because it's not, especially at that level, it's just not appropriate when you have insider trading. And that's just how I feel. I feel for Republicans. I feel for Democrats. That's just overall how I feel about the whole thing. Which, by the way, hopefully you guys have a fantastic beverage with y'all. I do. This is a Shiner Bock. I'm from Texas, and Shiner Bock is my favorite beer. Also sipping on some mixed drink over here as well for our stream this evening. But I just didn't have time to make any hot beverages, but I do normally like a hot beverage, like a spiced apple cider or a caramel apple cider. Fantastic. Those things are really delicious. And they really help the voice too. But so getting back to everything, we had President Trump, former President Trump, who had a settlement that came in, and it was for $83 million. MAGA's losing their mind. Which $83 million is a lot of cheddar for you and I, right? But for Trump, this should be like, just like a shave off of the block of a warehouse of cheese. And this should be really simple to take care of. It may not be a piece of cheese you want to give up. It might be a little bit larger of a piece of cheese than you'd want to give, but it should be relatively simple. However, then we got hit with the Judge in Huron judgment, and this is in New York City, where Letitia James went through and had the law that was passed, found fraud and this, that, and the other, and we ended up passing a judgment of Judge in Huron passing a judgment of nearly $500 million. I believe it was 400 and some odd billion or million dollars, and I just find that to be fantastic. So how they came up with this number, and it's important to remember, like MAGA will tell you that this is a corrupt system and whatnot. But what's important to remember is they have documents, right? And unlike some of my predecessors here on Twitch and several other talk shows, they'll tell you that, show me the documents, right? And I'm not going to believe it unless I see it. Well, you can go out there and you can see them. Also, some court documents are never released. It's just there's too much sensitive information. There's a lot that goes into it. Maybe a FOIA request can get you most of the documents, but some of these things are just not released. And there's FOIA requests. Then, of course, there's a theory about FOIA requests. But with that being said, you'd have to go through and do a FOIA request, which can cost, several $100s to go through and do just to read the news. Well, this is where their argument hinges, is on this point of, well, what are they hiding? They're not hiding anything. It's the fact that there was 10,000 pages or 30,000 pages or 50,000 pages. And what's up, that sexy bee? What's up, man? What's going on, Tater? Welcome in, man. Welcome in. So this is where their argument hinges, right? It hinges on, well, if you can't show me the proof from the courts, then it's not a real thing. But if there's 50,000, 60,000 pages that are a part of this court document, and you're going to do a FOIA act, and for those of y'all that don't know, FOIA is Freedom of Information Act. If you're going to do a Freedom of Information Act form, and you get the documents from any of the Trump cases that are still closed, that have been processed, I mean, you can find most of the evidence there. But also, you're going to spend $4,000 doing so. And the reason that is because 50,000 pages is a lot of damn pages. So you have to pay for the printing of 60,000 pages. And there's boxes that come with it. And it's a lot of stuff. So to save you time and trouble, you can look at some of this online, but it's only what the judge wants to give up. But ultimately, when it boils down to it, what does the media have to lie about the 50,000 pages and whatever happened? Also, when a jury has found that these people have committed crimes. It's funny, the party of law and order loves to say that Blue Lives Matter and that it's the party of law and justice. But when it comes down to a white-collar offender like Donald J. Trump, it's all crooked. It's rigged. It's this, that, and the other. But whenever every other billionaire, every other millionaire has some issue that comes up and they find themselves in legal or criminal proceedings, we're quick to throw them under the bus and say, look at them, we trusted them, but not Donald Trump. And I don't understand why y'all have this cult mentality to take care of this guy. And it's not just Republicans, right? There's Democrats that do it too. For y'all that don't know, a couple years ago, there was a mayor of Chicago, Illinois. Her name was Lori Lightfoot. And Lori Lightfoot was voted, I want to say about 3 years ago. She was voted in as mayor, so she's coming up on her re-election, which I don't think she's going to win. So Lori Lightfoot is currently the mayor of Chicago, Illinois, and she was running as a female candidate. She's also black, and she's also a lesbian. So she actually was going to be if I remember correctly, the first black female lesbian mayor in the United States. It might be Illinois. And maybe that's what it was. It was Illinois. I remember Lightfoot. I know. So that's the thing, right? So she was supposed to be this progressive powerhouse, the breaker of the walls, She was really breaking the mold and making things happen. Well, she turned out to be one of the worst mayors ever, not because of any of the things that, I used to describe her, but because she was a corrupt individual. And that's my point, right? Democrats will call out someone who's corrupt. And Republicans used to call out people that are corrupt. You have had, Reagan. You've had Nixon. Republicans used to do this. But not anymore. And it seems like Democrats are willing to call out someone like Lori Lightfoot for all the corruption that she had and that is still currently going on. But Republicans refuse to call out the corruption in their own party. It was in Illinois. Gotcha. So she was the first one in Illinois to be able to go forward and be the first female, black, lesbian mayor, which Fantastic, right? So there's a huge swath of people in Illinois that can identify with her as a leader, that can look on TV, can look on social media, can look at, her and say that I see myself in this person. And that's what it's all about, right? Having someone who represents you in that individual. But she was also a criminal. She was just ridiculously, criminally liable almost for how she bankrupted the city. She would go to elaborate dinners on behalf of the city, and it was just between her and her partner, or her and other people, that had nothing to do with contracts or anything that was benefiting the city. It was basically robbing the city of its money. She was utilizing the city police to intimidate city council members. She had befriended the chief of police, so that way, and bought gifts for the chief of police, so that way the chief of police would do her bidding, and she would intimidate city council members who questioned her, tried to challenge her authority. And I believe she's, no longer the mayor of Illinois. I mean, maybe she's still running, but I don't believe she's no longer the mayor of Chicago, not Illinois, Chicago. So, Democrats are willing to call these people out, but Republicans aren't willing to call out Donald Trump for any of the things that is going on. It's like they can't lose this election. Sometimes you back the wrong candidate. I will admit, in 2016, I voted for Trump, and I backed the wrong candidate. It was a month, maybe 2 months later, I was like, what the hell did I do? And from that point on, I just continuously started to back up. And as I continued to back up, I saw how bad things were. Not only is it Trump, the guy, the mannerisms, how he moves and functions and bullies people around, but it's just, he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy no matter what. Everything that he does is bad. He's bad. Everything is bad. And the worst part about everything is that Republicans somehow didn't hold the line. They moved back into the craziness that Donald Trump was creating. Now we have the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, the Lauren Berberts, the Matt Gaetz. Lindsey Graham used to be a respectable Republican, for crying out loud. Now, look at him now, And of course, what we've had is just this massive, massive fall across our entire nation over laws that were protecting people, and now these laws are gone. We had Roe v. Wade fall. The idea was we're putting it into the states' hands. The states get to make these decisions, but this was always the plan, right? Was to tear down the institutions that make this country great, because they're proving a narrative, and the narrative is that the government doesn't work. And when you're trying to prove a negative, it's easy. All you have to do is make sure that nothing gets done. And that's all they're doing. They go through. We just had a legislation bill. Of course, immigration is one of the hottest topics today. Polls are saying that legislation is not the big topic. It's the legislation at the border that's the hot topic. It's not legislation dealing with healthcare. It's not the economy. It's legislation at the border. It's immigration. Immigration is the number one topic that voters are interested in going into this 2024 election. And we had a bill on the table that Republicans crafted, that Democrats crafted together out of the Senate, moved it into the House, and it died in the House because of the Republicans. Solely because of the Republicans. The Democrats were all on board. And here's, not even all the Democrats. It was the progressive Democrats weren't on board. They didn't vote for it because it was too harsh. I tell you what, I'm not a progressive liberal. I'm actually a Republican. But with that being said, when the progressive liberals, the progressive Democrats are running from a bill, Republicans have won. This is the bill that you want. This is everything that they had asked for. And yet when Democrats finally gave it to them, when Biden finally gave it to them, they said no. All it is moving along, trying to make it appear that they're doing work, showing that the government will not work and that the government is faulty. And they're proving their own narrative about how government is failing the American people. And it's all because of them. They're the ones doing it. They're the ones that are causing the American people to suffer. It's not the Democrats right now. We can talk about how Democrats will tax you till you have no money left. And we can talk about that, but we're not getting shit done right now. We just had a government shutdown scheduled to happen tonight at midnight, not an hour and a half right now from me. But luckily yesterday, a stopgap measure was put in place. I think it's March 21st is the stopgap measure. This is like the 4th stopgap measure that is come to be. It was like September of last year that we were talking about this. So it was September of last year, and it might have been, earlier part of September is when the government was going to close down or run out of money. And we've continued to kick the can down the road. And we have nothing but Democrats to thank for this, even though Republicans are the ones that are passing because you need that at least 1/2 vote over the line to be able to make it work. You can thank maybe 2 Republicans, because that's all that there is in the House, is a difference between 2 Republicans over 2 Democrats. I'm pretty sure in 2024 the Democrats are going to take over the House of Representatives, but we'll see. There is a chance that the Senate is going to be taken over by Republicans, but we'll have to wait and see. There's so much that goes into that. And goes into, what's going to happen in this election, especially when you're dealing with Mitch McConnell giving up his seat out of nowhere. He's been fighting for years, and all of a sudden he's going to give up his seat. Like, that's really insane. Let me get the fan here. Still learning the light switches in the new house. So that's the craziest thing, is that this entire time, the Democrats have been trying to pass a legitimate legislation bill. And we could talk about how it doesn't have all the things that Republicans wanted, right? But when progressive Democrats are running the other direction from the bill, this is the bill that you want for Republicans. As a Republican, this is what you want. You want to keep pressing that, and you get to that point. And the fact that this is for 50 years, there's been no immigration legislation. And the fact that we were pretty much going to almost do away with the asylum clause means that this was fantastic. So some of my fellow streamers that are on here and political commentators will tell you that this was a fantastic piece of legislation, or this was a horrible, no good, nothing about it was good piece of legislation. It doesn't matter, because this is a 2-party system, and it was designed that way. It has always been that way. It most likely will always be that way. What we're seeing now is the death of the Republicans. The people like me, the people like you who are Republicans out there, this is the death of our party. And what we have is the Retrumplican party. We can call them whatever we want. They call us rhinos. Really, they should be rhinos. But they can call us whatever they want. But ultimately, this is the end of the party as the Republican Party as we know it. The nice conservatives that speak nicely, that are polite, that have Southern mannerisms, and that believe that as long as it doesn't affect me, I don't care. You do what you're going to do as long as it doesn't affect me and my family. The party now has extended out to this crazy sanction of people who believe pretty much if I see you and I don't like you, then you're offending me and you're violating my rights. And, you know, people who are same-sex couples, or people who are different ethnicities, and people who have different beliefs and now different religions. I mean, we're trying to turn the United States into a Christian religious majority country here. And, you know, the thing is America already is a Christian majority country, and I don't know how it can get any more Christian, because it's a pretty freaking Christian place. Like, we all pretty much celebrate Christmas. We all get Christian holidays off, and whenever there is someone sneezes, for crying out loud, we say God bless you. Like, it's the most Christian country there is on the face of the earth. And if we're trying to turn it more Christian, I'll be honest with you, as someone who is raised Catholic and who is currently Catholic, I think that's too much Christian. Also, Christianity is not the solution to the problem. Don't follow religion. Follow Jesus Christ if you're going to do anything. Those are two different things. Following a religion is following man's idea of what Jesus Christ is. It's not following Jesus Christ. It's not following the love in your heart. It's not following the things that make a Christian a Christian. What it is almost being part of the Republican Party would be following a religion in the United States today. It doesn't make any sense how we've gone from following Jesus Christ to following a political party who is in support of barbed wire at our gates, drowning and murdering children and families as they cross the border. It doesn't make any sense. And that's the craziest thing to me, is it doesn't make any sense how we're going to go through and claim that this is a Christian country when we have young men and women dying at our borders because of buoys with barbed wire. When we have laws that were put in place by the founding fathers, when we have laws that were put in place by legally elected bodies of legislature, and we have governors and senators and representatives who are not following those laws. Like, I don't know how we're going to call ourselves a Christian country when we're going to clearly back someone who is so evil for president just because they're part of our party, just because we need to win. The Democrats can't win. We must win. We're not a Christian country. The fact that Trump is having affairs, which is a sin, but important to remember, these aren't just affairs. This is prostitution. This is money exchanging hands. And the evangelical vote is behind him? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand how this is supposed to be our Christian nation. This is our orange Jesus we're following. I don't understand it. It makes no sense. All of these rulings that are coming in on Trump over the past 2 weeks are all because of how evil of a person he is. And I'll be honest with you. If you're a Democrat and you're evil, I'm going to call you out. Most Democrats are going to call you out. There's definitely some games that can be played by Democrats. They can definitely be played. You know, when we're talking about that one Democrat, I believe it was a senator, who was selling secrets to Egypt. Yeah, we can call people out like that. Democrats did. I don't understand why more Republicans didn't call him out. They were defending him, if anything, which was really weird and awkward to me. It's like, is this a practice? Are y'all also selling secrets? But Republicans don't call them out. You have to give credit to the Republicans that do. Even if they're not calling out directly, when they say and they start to move on different topics, like when the border bill was killed. Representative Dan Crenshaw of Houston, where I'm from. Representative Dan Crenshaw. He is a war veteran who wears an eye patch. He was saying that it was really weird that the Republicans were going to kill the bill when this is a great bill that has a lot of conservative beliefs and values in it that were going to help stop the problem at the border. And it was all because of President Trump saying, I don't want to give Biden a win. And that's exactly what it boils down to, right? Trump is such a selfish bastard that he will let you and me and everyone else live in this country, die in this country, suffer in this country, just so he can become president. When we have a chance to do something about the border, which the thing is, you know what the big win is Democrats said for years. Here's the thing. Democrats said for years that the border was not a problem, and they just disbelieved that the border was a problem. The Democrats were finally here, and they were willing to do something about it, and they agreed that it was a problem. And there was division in the Democratic Party amongst themselves, talking about the problems that were at the border. and Republicans just ran from the bill. Like, this was what everyone was wanting, what everyone was needing for years, for 50 years. This bill's been in place. And when you say that Biden can go through and he can shut the border down and he can do all these things, no, he can't. Trump didn't do it. Trump had 4 years in office. He didn't do it. Nothing could happen. There's laws. The president is not a king. They do not have absolute power. They cannot be abstained from justice. They do not get shielded. And watch the Supreme Court rule against Trump and watch him cry and whine like a fucking 2-year-old toddler. But the founding fathers wrote this country's constitution in the Bill of Rights later on about making sure that a king would never be in the United States of America and would be ruling. That the president of the United States was elected by the people, for the people, and of the people, and would inevitably be submissive to the laws of the land that Congress and the justice system would put in place. Whatever the judiciary said was a law, if they upheld it as constitutional, the president also had to follow it. That is plain and simple. Just because your orange Jesus has broken all the fucking laws under the sun, and because you're upset that the walls are finally closing in and that y'all backed the wrong person because y'all are embarrassed that y'all backed the wrong person, does not mean that he's innocent. He's not. He's already been. Remember when he said that I donated all my money. He donated all of his salary. He's such a good guy. He donated his salary. He's such a rich millionaire. He donated his salary. He did that for us as Americans. He donated it to his own fucking corrupt, that has now been taken down, Trump Foundation. Like, it went to the people who were at the middle of a criminal investigation, who also have been convicted, barred from running New York-based offices and holding positions in that state. And y'all dumb fucks want to sit there and try and not have goods go to New York. You want to like, truckers want to sit there and hold the protest. Have fun. I bet your boss is going to be really happy about you refusing to deliver goods to New York. Also, go ahead. A few hundred of you will do it. We've got enough stuff moving through the system. This is no longer the pandemic. We got enough stuff moving through the system. We'll be fine for a little bit. We'll actually be able to be fine longer than y'all will, because truck drivers don't make that much money. They can make a lot of money when you consider the salary as a whole, but when you consider the fact that they have to pay rent for their trucks, they have to pay gas for their trucks, they have a lot of stuff they have to do, they don't make that much money. It's like farmers. You know, pieces of farm equipment cost $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. But farmers have that kind of money, that cash to drop. You know what's funny? It's not all cash. A lot of it is loans. A lot of it is government-backed subsidies. So, yeah, the pieces of equipment they have are expensive, but they don't have that much money. When was a farmer rich? Never. Never. They're hardworking individuals that are the backbone of this country. They're not rich. So, truck drivers, you go ahead. You put a blockade around New York. We'll see how long it takes for some of us regular Joes to get some CDLs and do your fucking job for you. Rant over. So that's some of the stuff that's been happening over the past couple weeks. I'll tell you what, I'm pretty sure that we have a ad break that is going to be coming up here soon. Yeah. So we're going to do an ad break right now, and I'll catch you guys back here in about 45 seconds. All right, guys, we are back. So I'm doing a test stream here. So we're going to check out some of the features that we have. I'll be working a little bit later tonight because we're going to be ending the stream here in about 15 minutes or so. But I wanted to be able to check some of the features, see what we're doing, do some of those tweaks this weekend. So that way next Wednesday we are good to go. We're supposed to be debating with Common Grounds live tonight on Twitch. So it's twitch.tv/Common Grounds. However, it didn't appear that he was going to be streaming tonight. He actually should have been streaming earlier, but he hadn't been streaming. So hopefully everything's okay on his end. Let's see. Let's do the @Common Grounds live. There we go. So @Common Grounds live is where we're at. I don't know why it didn't go. I must not have that source set up. See, this is why we're doing it, right? We're having fun on a Friday night. Now, normally Fridays, whenever I am going to be streaming, we're probably not going to have these kinds of events unless we've got like a debate or something like that. We're just going to be going through and having some gameplay. Browser source, add. I wonder if this is a new source and I just didn't get everything set up. That's what I'm thinking. I just got to set that up. Okay. Well, it was a wasted shout out, but shout out to Common Grounds Live, who was supposed to be joining us tonight and doing a pretty simple debate. But maybe we could do it, I don't know, next week. We'll see if we can get that done. I know Common Grounds was supposed to be streaming, but either way. So back to the Trump stuff and whatnot. So you just got to learn to call out bullshit when there's bullshit. So we're calling out Trump's bullshit a lot on the show. We've also got other people that we can call out their bullshit. We obviously do Lori Lightfoot. There's plenty of people that were able to go forward and call out bullshit. Here in Houston, we had a mayor, Sylvester Turner. I was not a big fan of Sylvester Turner, the mayor here in Houston, but ultimately it boiled down to I'm up to 10.4K. You getting ready to paint me? 10.4K and what, man? Gotcha. Oh, paint you like one of your French girls. Well, yeah, man, I'll paint you. See, the thing is, with the paint me like one of your French girls, that is easy because I know what you look like. Now, I'm a horrible artist, but I can definitely paint you. And we'll do it live on stream. You know, that's always one of the good things, man, is being able to do that stuff as well. It's been a while since I've had someone redeem anything like that. But, it's really difficult at times. Also, just as we're going through when we're trying to get all of our streaming stuff back up and running and get everything moving, it's a thing. I forgot even that those were set up. I got to update the sub badges. Also got to update the what do you call them? Like the gifts or whatever these are, whatever these things are. What are they? Emotes? Yeah, emotes. The emotes gotta update these guys right here. And I don't know what I'm gonna do because I used to be DragonStorm325. I still am. That's still my gamer tag. But I might keep a couple of these. But definitely going to update a couple of other ones. I just don't know. Maybe some Joe Biden stuff. I am also working on the intro, music and video and everything. I'm actually going to be doing that a little bit later tonight. I'm actually going to be trying out some AI crafting to maybe be able to get like a little bit of an intro whenever we open up the show on Wednesdays. Need some elephants in there, some donkeys and some elephants, and then some rhinos, right? We got to have the rhinos if we have the elephants and the donkeys. We got to know who's who. I'll see what I can do, man. That's not a bad idea, having those elephants and donkeys and, throwing in a rhino. That might be a pretty good thing. Seems pretty fun if you ask me. Where have you been? Has work been okay for you, Tater? As we're closing down the hour here, has work been okay for you? You've been doing good? I have not. I've seen you stream a couple of times, but it hasn't been too much. I know you said you were taking a step back, but I don't think you've streamed all week, right? Because I haven't gotten any notifications. One of the biggest things that I'm pretty excited about is seeing Trump's face whenever the Supreme Court tears down his presidential immunity bid, that he can't be prosecuted for anything that he did when he's in office. That's going to be fantastic. I mean, there's absolutely no chance that the Supreme Court would ever say that the president could be immune from criminal proceedings, especially when they've already kind of made, like, you know, an issue about it. And they were talking about with the staying on the ballot for Colorado, they had mentioned that the president could and should be facing charges, or that Congress should do something. And that would be where the removing from the ballot would be, which ultimately still boils down to someone may not be president, but they can actually run for office. You know, as long as they are able to fund a campaign. They just cannot serve, which means the electors cannot be given over to give that individual the authority to be president for a 4-year term. Been busy as fuck. I went live Tuesday and Wednesday, but now on an 8-day stretch after a 7-day last week. Dude, that is insane. I remember working shifts like that, man. It's pretty crazy. I remember where you work. I'm not going to bring it up so that way it's not in the public record here of Twitch. But, excuse me. But is it like y'all are missing crews or staff or something? Is it, you know, the market, or like what's going on? Do you just not have people to fill those shifts, or is it the company itself's like new business model? They're terminating everybody, and you're of course having to pick up the slack as management. You know, what's going on with that? That's the real questions, right? So yeah, I'm excited to rewatch this stream and see what we got going on here. It looks like everything's working fine on my end, guys. So I'm going to be back Wednesday for sure. And we're going to have a well-organized and structured stream. And we're going to have hopefully a music that's going to be able to play. We're also going to have the stream deck that's up so we can do some of these hot key items for you guys. I'll be trying a lot of stuff. I'm pretty excited here. As always, anyone who wants to jump in is going to be able to jump in, and we can talk and have debates and things like that. But yeah, pretty neat. I don't know what happened here. This thing's running significantly behind on my Restream.io screen. If we just got to that intermission that we took, I think like 8 minutes ago. But yeah, everything does seem to be doing good. I've been pretty excited about being able just to stream all week, but Wednesday I didn't have some of the microphone and everything wasn't set up properly, even though I had the equipment set up. So I've got my newsletter coming out as well, probably tomorrow. I'm waiting to get some more podcasts and some more news updates after today. Before I make my next newsletter. For those of you that didn't know, I do a newsletter a week. This week I'm doing 2 newsletter releases, so that way we're able to go through. Just gives you some of the thoughts about what's happening with the world, some of my beliefs on that. I try to keep them inspirational, and whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, it's there. Whether you're an independent, it's all about American and American pride, and the fact that we are the most amazing, powerful nation the world has ever seen. And, you know, hopefully going to remain that way. Hopefully we influence other countries to be more like us and maybe even to surpass us, right? As long as they're an ally and they surpass us, that would be fantastic. To be able to see the American democracy movement move forward. You know, a real quick thing before we head out tonight, you know, there's so many things. So I mentioned going forward and being on TikTok and YouTube and just having a lot of success, you know, about 10,000 views on YouTube, and TikTok is booming, near 50 followers, along with 500 or so likes on the videos that we've been posting of different content, recording some content during the mornings before I head into work. So for those of you all that aren't following on TikTok, remember Political Gaming on TikTok. But one of the things that I find so interesting about this whole process is being able to do what I like. Like, this is one of the things that I just absolutely love to do is talk about politics. And, you know, at some point being able to discuss politics, it'd be great if we could have debated Common Grounds live tonight, but unfortunately he is not here and was not streaming today. But that's one of the things I really enjoy doing is being able to talk to people, and it's never about trying to convince them that they're wrong, right? Like, that's the biggest thing, is normally people's heels are dug in. The idea is trying to understand how they got to their beliefs. And that's one of the things that I really want to do for y'all live here on stream, so we can go forward and see that together, go through that. Inventory tomorrow. So being the assistant manager, I had to do a lot of help getting ready. We also lost our operations manager, who should have prepared us mostly for this. And we did lose like 3 more regular employees. Dude, that sounds crazy. I remember working at LaserQuest and losing operation managers, and let me tell you, that was a insane thing whenever that happened. I probably could have been a lot more helpful than trying to be a punk kid who was working this job, but that paid the bills and thinking about going to rock concerts and whatnot. But, I'll be honest with you. These jobs that you're in, that I was in, you can really learn a lot of stuff. I mean, I know, Tater, you and me have spoken before. You've got a lot of other stuff that you are really good at that, you can bring to the table and offer. But these jobs as well are, these temporary jobs, right? Like, this is one of these jobs that it's what you got right now, but something better will come. And that's the greatest thing, is whenever you're able to leave this kind of job. I was able to stay at a pet resort in between my careers before I got into the water and wastewater industry and became a wastewater and water operator. I was at a pet resort. And, man, I thought that was going to be the coolest job, because you just got to work with animals every day, dogs and cats, and it'd be great. But I tell you, idiots can own a business. And I say that every day of my life. It is almost any idiot can own a business and can run a business. The thing is it a successful business? When you're sitting there and you're worried about money and you're worried about paying the bills, and, you're yelling at people when they're doing exactly what you asked, but it's because someone else asked you to do it that way, who's also your boss. Like, it makes no sense. It's just, when it's too complicated, it's too complicated. And it sounds like you might be going through that, Tater. So my apologies to you, especially when you started losing crew as well. Especially when because crew aren't grounded to the team, right? Like, they're not grounded to the job. They're not grounded to the company. That's the worst part. They come and go. It's always a great read and very inspiring. Well, thank you. I try to put a lot of effort into it. And I think that now that we got our PC up and running, we got everything going great, we're going to be doing a lot of good stuff with Twitch, taking clips from the Twitter, or taking clips from the Twitch show, putting that on social media, doing a lot, bringing followers in. So very excited about all that. That's something that I'm very excited about, that we always do. Luckily for them, it's my background is actually operations, so I have stepping right in. So, that's the really good thing. So did you get a promotion, or are you acting operations manager, or what's happening there? I can tell you, acting operations manager, never good. Never good. Hopefully, if this is something, you're getting the promotion and you can finally run the store the way that you need to run the store, the way that you know how to run the store. I never got an opportunity to be the operations manager, and I'll be honest with you, in life, I'm really not going to have the operation manager role ever. In my career, it's just too much, especially on my side of the career right now. It's just way too much. But that's pretty awesome, man. That's pretty good news for you. So congratulations to you for that as well. But Yeah, I'm very excited to see what happens next week in the upcoming week. You know, we also have the Georgia case with Fonnie Willis. You know, I'm not really thinking too much is going to be happening with that. There's a chance that the entire department could lose that case. But it still doesn't change the facts in that case, right? Like, Trump still called down to Georgia, was trying to subvert the electorate, was trying to get them to change votes. And it's on recording. And I don't know who recorded it, but thank fucking God they did. Because that is one of the most incriminating things. That is just like the Watergate tape for Nixon right there. It's truly amazing. And we as Americans all should be upset. And that's how you know these MAGA pieces of shit are just full of it, right? When they say that they're for fair and balanced, the election was stolen, this, that, and the other, and here's their guy calling down to a state, talking to the state officials on videotape, saying, I need you to lie about how many votes I was given. All we got to do is win this state, and we're good to go. And that right there is not what the American democracy is about. And while we're on democracy, for those of y'all that are out there that think that we are a constitutional republic and not a democracy, for one, congratulations on being able to say constitutional republic. That is fantastic that you can speak that. The reason I say that is because it's so fucking dumb that you don't know that a constitutional republic is a type of a democracy. Democracy is the overall parent style of governing. There's several different styles, but a constitutional republic is under that category. So congratulations on knowing what a constitutional republic is, but you lose even more points because you're a fucking idiot for not knowing that a constitutional republic is, in fact, in turn, a democracy. So when people say democracy is on stake here, and your go-to comment in argument is, we're actually not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic, just because a right-wing radio host told you that, and your fucking shrinked brain thinks that this is the proper answer, it's not. Do a Google search. Look it up. Look it up in a printed dictionary, thesaurus, whatever you got. Figure it out. But it's not the case, okay? If you don't trust Google because it's fake news, it's not the case. All right? I just had to get that out of the way. That has been happening on TikTok. Every video I post, someone will talk about the constitutional republic when they have no fucking clue that a democracy is the parent organization to what a constitutional republic is. Because the constitutional republic is, in fact, a democracy. It has elected officials. There's also theocracies as well, which is part of democracy as well. But even with that being said, not splitting hairs here. So luckily for them, my background's in actual operations, so I can step into the role. No. Acting, just covering until we can get a new one. But technically, I'm above the operations manager. Next step for me would be... Whereas the next step for me would be GM quitting and taking that role. So is that what you're going to be doing? You're going to be taking the general manager role? It's how they are typing to justify or trying to justify ending democracy. Well, yeah, but like the thing is, Tater, is like just call them out on their shit, right? Like it's amazing how they will just say, nope, that's not true, but they won't look it up, right? So some of my fellow Twitch streamers will tell you, I've got to see it to believe it. But yet again, like they won't go see shit. They'll invest 18 hours a day into looking for Joe Biden to stumble on a stage. But when you start talking about Mar-a-Lago, they'll go, is that golf club that Trump owns? You didn't know what Mar-a-Lago was? This entire thing. You say you're an expert on politics. You're for sure that the documents were not kept in a bathroom at Mar-a-Lago, but you don't know what fucking Mar-a-Lago is. Get out of here. Like that's always insane to me. Is some of the shit that they pull. They really think that we're just babies and true infants. I don't mean babies in mentality. I mean true babies. Like you can just lie to a kid. you're out of bananas. I don't know. You've got to eat these vegetables. Like, no, like we're not just a kid. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how they think. Mainly because they're too insecure as men, for the most part, because you don't get too many conservative women. I'll be honest with you. I don't understand conservative women that are those hardcore conservatives, right? Like, there's conservative women that are like strong and fierce and believe in women's rights. And then there's those conservative women that are talking about women need to be back having babies and in the kitchen. It's like, how are you this brainwashed? Isn't your husband like dead? Like, didn't he die 20 years ago of a heart attack and you're still this way? Like, with all of the money? Like, I don't understand that. It's truly an amazing thing. They're trying to get people to accept we're not a democracy so they can overthrow it all and just fight. I mean, yeah, like if they can't admit that we're a democracy is what it boils down to. So that way they can overthrow it. Also, if it was a democracy, they would have power. But even with that being said, how in the hell are you going to have a democracy elect? And also, this is splitting hairs because this is a democracy, even though it's a constitutional republic. We have people who are electorates. The idea is that even though they can not vote for us, what they do is they listen to what their constituents want. They look at what color map voted. Was it blue? Was it red? Do I vote Democrat or Republican? And they cast their vote. The reason is because to calculate the 350 million votes in this country would be an act of Christianity, God himself, to be able to make this happen all in one night. That's why. It's truly the most absurd thing. What up, Pack? Welcome in, man. How are you going to come in all the way at the end, Pack? How are you going to come in all the way at the end? But thank you for dropping in, man. Yeah, so to justify it, unless he quits someday, then I have no way of becoming GM, but I'm trying to show the district manager that I'm a better leader, so maybe I'll get a chance if he ever does leave. Is there another one of your stores in the area that you could also be promoted to? Before my wife graduated, she worked at Bed Bath & Beyond. As we all know, they are not a thing anymore. But Bed Bath & Beyond, she would go between stores and work. And there was like a special Bed Bath & Beyond event that would happen in a Houston store downtown. And she would work those events, and those events, she would get fed, like food and whatnot. They would bring in, like barbecue or like Chick-fil-A or whatever, because it was a big shopping event. And with that being said, like that's a pretty neat thing to happen. Is that something that happens over at your store? If there is even a store around that you'd be able to go to? Yeah, it's the end, man. It's like when you skip to the best part of the show, the end of the show. Best part of the show. Is it because I'm done ranting so that way I can shut up? Or is it because you like to see the beautiful face here? Leave. Which one is it? Closes 160 miles away, so I don't think you're working between the two. I don't think you're working between the two, Tater. But yeah, like you can do both. You can do you can do what you can, man, to see what the district managers, but I'll be honest with you, man. I wish you luck, but those jobs are really difficult, right? Like, those jobs are also dying. Those stores are dying. Those jobs are dying. You deserve something better. Do it as long as you can, and do it for as long as you want. But you need to keep in mind that these jobs are dying, man. You need a career-style job that's going to bring you places, is going to elevate you, is going to harness, the skills that you have, is going to sharpen the skills that you don't have. That's really what you need to do. But more power to you. I tell you what, I am super excited if you get this, promotion to the GM role. Barring that this person, vacates the seat in a non-harmful way. That would be great. Pac-Man, I saw you earlier today up in different chats over in Double's Discord doing a whole bunch of things. Hopefully that was fun for you. We do have the new stream set up here, like I mentioned earlier. I was just wanting to do a stream tonight. I was supposed to be doing debating, like I mentioned, with Common Grounds Live, but he's not live tonight, and he's also not responding to any of my text messages or whispers. So, you know, he might have a family emergency that's happening. He might just wanted a night off, but we'll see if we can bring that dude back, and we'll get all that scheduled. And we'll get that going, because I think that that'd be a really entertaining thing, me versus Common Grounds Live. He seems to be a real Retrumplican who is a closet case Retrumplican. He says he never voted for Trump. I believe that's a lie. But even with that being said, I was a Trump supporter, and I no longer am. So I voted for him in 2016. So I know how to argue and debate with my own people. But yeah, so we just had the new setup that came in. So we have a couple of different cover pages and whatnot. So we're gonna be headed out here, and we're gonna review the stream and see how everything goes. So thank you guys for being here. Tater, thank you so much for being here. Pac, thank you so much for being here. What happened? I didn't for that Verizon, but I don't know how till the next one opens up. I pray I pay my bills. That's how it is, man. I'm not kidding. Like, that's why it took me a little bit longer to get my PC, is because I really wanted to make sure that I was going to be making my mortgage payments before I just started spending useless money on a new PC, right? And I was trying to make my old PC right here work, but it just wasn't. It just wasn't able to keep up with that. I think we had like 2 streams, and then it just crashed. Because we had that long over Christmas Eve stream. That one did fantastic. I wasn't also streaming, and no one was using Wi-Fi in the house. But still, with that being said, it is what it is. Yeah, man, have a good night. Thank you guys so much. This is The Political Gamer. Thank you so much for the follows on TikTok. Thank you so much for the views and the likes and the comments on YouTube. We are at 54 subscribers on YouTube, and we are at, I believe it's 53 followers on TikTok. Thank you so much for all those guys. Y'all have a fantastic evening. It's The Political Gamer, and I am signing off.